AVI-8 take a lot of inspiration from, obviously, aviation, so airplanes, aircrafts. They also take inspiration from the cockpits and also from heroes in aviation. And today I have a watch to show you. This is the P-51 Mustang Hitchcock automatic. It sort of takes inspiration from all three. And the P-51 Mustang is specifically the plane that we're talking about for this, but it also takes inspiration from one of the people who are actually responsible for the development of the P-51, and that is Lieutenant Colonel Tommy Hitchcock. So I'm going to get into the watch itself, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the inspiration behind it. It comes in very familiar packaging for AVI-8 and also Spinnaker. It comes in a cardboard box. It has sort of a canvas with some stitching. It's like a nylon canvas. You got an 8 right there for AVI-8. It's in leather. Very nice boxes. They're pretty substantial and actually nicely made. Inside you get a little pamphlet here. It's just the instruction manual with the QR code. And then warranty information is separate. I don't believe I get that for a reviewer's watch because I don't need to return this watch. So this is a reviewer's watch. I do get to keep it. So keep that in mind. This is the gray version. So you can see this is all gray. The strap is gray. The case is in a gunmetal gray PVD coated color. The dial is brushed. That is also in a sort of a distressed gray color. There is black also, so you get a little bit of black on the keepers on the strap. The actual buckle is in that same PVD coated color. It's a nice buckle. It just has AVI-8 on there as well. You could see the movement from the back. This is the NH35. 10 Gold Tommy refers to the fact that Tommy Hitchcock was also a polo champion, achieving a 10 goal rating, 18 out of 19 seasons that he played. And apparently that's very good. I'm not too familiar with polo. He was also part of the Lafayette Escadrilles, and they were a unit in the French Air Force that were mostly American volunteers. And he was an American, which was pretty cool. And that was during the First World War, not World War II. The P-51 actually came around in World War II, and he had a lot to do with the development of the P-51 Mustang, and that's what this watch takes a lot of inspiration from him, from the plane itself. And there's some of that elements here in the actual crown guard. This crown guard doesn't move. You could wind the watch with the crown guard in place. It doesn't really do anything. It just actually protects the crown. This is an element that's inspired by the actual plane itself. And then, of course, that 10 gold Tommy, as I mentioned, is inspired by the inspiration of this watch, Tommy Hitchcock. The dial itself is inspired by some of the gauges. You can see there's black, there's blue. That blue color is only on the actual lollipop or the little circle right there on the counterbalance of the second hand. On part of the second hand, that 10 o'clock, and then, of course, the automatic that it just says automatic there, just above the 6 o'clock, which is a color match date, as you can see right there. Lots of layers to the dial. There's sort of 2 layers to the dial. It is brushed, and it looks a little bit distressed. It says AVI-8. It's a sandwich dial, so there is lume. That 10 is loomed. All of the sandwich is loomed. Even the indices, those indices are applied. You have screws that actually hold it all together. Which looks really good. You get black lume on the hands, so those hands look like they're just black. There's actually lume on there. And then, of course, like for instance, that 0, that is also lume at the 12 o'clock. That actually has black lume as well. We will do a lume shot at the end. So this is a 43 millimeter watch. However, if you measure with that crown guard, it is a little bit bigger than that because that crown guard does add a little bit more to that, and you can see it's about 46.9. However, it doesn't wear like a 46 millimeter because of those crown guards. It actually wears a little bit smaller than that. It probably wears more like a 43 or a 44 millimeter watch. The lug to lug is about 50 millimeters. Lug to lug is what I measured. 50.8 is what I'm getting, and then the thickness on here with the domed sapphire crystal, it's a 13.8 millimeter thickness. The strap on here is a beautiful cav leather strap. You have stitching that sort of goes through. It looks really good, feels really good. It's just a beautiful strap on here. And like I said, a very nice buckle. The buckle is AVI-8. It's signed right there. It looks really nice as well. Now, this is not going to be for everyone because the dial is kind of busy. And it does look like a gauge from an airplane, from an aircraft. And that's definitely what they are going for, but I could see how a lot of people would find this a little bit busy. For an automatic 3-hand watch, it is a little bit difficult to just glance down at this watch and tell the time. Now, either you're going to love that or you're going to hate it. And one of the reasons why you would buy this watch is because of that. It looks like an airplane gauge. If you are into airplanes, this is definitely a cool watch. I've always admired AVI-8 watches because they make what looks like a more complicated watch than it actually is, and that is because of the dial layers, the sandwiches that they're using. So they're using sandwich layers, and then they're using layers on top of that. And it's a 13.8 millimeter watch, and it's automatic, so it's not incredibly thick. You're getting a sapphire crystal, which is slightly domed, as you can see. And you can see the movement from the back. Now, you're not getting a ton of water resistance. You're getting 50 meters of water resistance, which is fine for a pilot's watch. I think that works really, really well. Just a really interesting kind of watch. And either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, as I mentioned. Very quickly, I'll throw it on my wrist so you guys can see the watch on my wrist. And then we will do a quick Lume shot because the Lume on here is pretty good. Now we'll talk about price as well. Very quickly, today I am wearing an Accutron. This is actually a new acquisition for me. I've been looking for this for a very long time, and I actually got this at a really good price. It's a weird watch. Bulova also made them. Accutron made, obviously, Swiss automatic watches. This is a Swiss automatic. And they are priced amazing. But this is a very, very robust 200-meter dive watch. It's a very robust watch, very well made. I'm going to be doing an unboxing on this very soon, just so you guys can see. Obviously, no longer in production. But here is the AVI-8 on my 7.5-inch wrist. As I mentioned, this is a 43 millimeter watch. It doesn't wear that much bigger than 43 millimeters. The watch I just had on is a 44 millimeter watch, and it definitely wears a little bit smaller than that watch. As you can see, it doesn't look huge, but it definitely does not look small. And the case is actually very nicely finished. The bezel itself is brushed, and then the sides of the case are polished, and then the tops of the case is actually a brush. So you do get some different textures on here. Even though the entire case is sort of PVD coated with that gunmetal finish. And that blue secondhand really does stand out when you have it on. You can see that AR coating on the dome sapphire crystal. Now, prices on this are going to range from $330 to $350. I believe the $330 ones are the ones without the actual PVD coating, and then the $350 ones are the ones with. Now, they're also offering a 15% discount. I'm going to put the code down below for my viewers. For those of you who would like to get one of these watches, I think that's spectacular. So that's not the price that I've just mentioned. That $330 is not including that 15% off. So if you are keen on one of these and you really like it, they are offering it at an excellent price. You're getting it basically below $300, which is a really good price. I don't think you can get this one for below $300, but you can get the non-PVD coated versions below $300, and I think that's an excellent price. So very quickly, let's do a Lume shot, and then we will wrap up the videos. I'm going to do close-ups of the dial, just so you guys can see all of the details on this dial. It's very detailed, and the Lume is actually pretty good considering there is black Lume on here, and there's blue Lume, which you don't see very often. So very quickly, a Lume shot, and then we'll wrap up the video. So as I mentioned, you get black Lume. So you're going to see there's a big difference between that 10 and everything else on the dial, because everything else is getting black Lume, and the blue Lume is there at the 10 o'clock. That sandwich portion of the 10 o'clock is in that blue Lume. It is superluminova, however. It isn't incredibly bright because of that black. Now, black superluminova usually doesn't last very long, and it doesn't hold a very good charge. However, it isn't terrible on this watch, and it is holding a charge. Even the indices which are applied do have Lume on them. You can see it's fading pretty quickly. It's not going to hold out very, very long. There is Lume on the hour hand. There is Lume on the minutes hand. And then on the sandwich portion and then around the dial on the indices, there are also Lume. That Lume is black Lume, as I mentioned, so it's not going to hold on. But it's part of the look of this watch, so I kind of forgive it for that. It's an all gray look, so they couldn't really put white Lume on here because it would really stand out. So they went with the black Lume to sort of keep with that theme, and then just used a little bit of blue to give it that pop of color, and I think it really works well. And you can see it's pretty much going to fade. To the camera's eye, to the naked eye, there's a little bit of brightness to it, but there's not that much. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I think this is a really cool watch. I really like the inspiration behind it. Tommy Hitchcock, obviously an American hero, and he also helped develop the P-51, which this watch is inspired by, so it kind of makes sense. The 10 gold Tommy in the back, kind of cool as well. They really did put a lot of attention to detail in the watch. I really like the dial and the sandwich portion. I think it looks really good. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.